Go ahead live on Facebook, and Rob, I'll let you begin your meeting.
Okay. Now, I still see the broadcast will begin shortly on Facebook.
That's that minute delay that we've talked about, so it's going to take.
Okay, so if I call the meeting to order now, we should be okay?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, now I see you. Okay, well, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Port Royal Design Review Board. My name is Robert Merchant, the chairman of the Design Review Board and a resident of Port Royal. And I'd like to just go around the virtual table here and introduce our other board members.
Buddy Brown, resident of Port Royal.
I'm Jerry Ashburn, on town council here in Port Royal.
Bill Harris, architectural consultant from Allison Ramsey Architects.
Also at the table, Linda Bridges, staff administrator for the board, and online calling in one by one.
This is Tom Rhodes, architect.
Richard? Richard, are you there? Richard Beasley, are you on the line?
Yeah, my phone went on pause and then I began to come back. Here I am.
There you are. All right, thank you.
This is Callan.
And finally, Rob, I hate to take over, but I kind of know who's here. Eric Erickson, are you online? I don't think he is, Rob, so I'll let you take it back.
Okay, do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum.
Okay.
And this is Richard.
All right.
I don't see a stream yet.
Others in the room do see it, so perhaps you could work with your technology. Perhaps refresh.
Nothing refreshed yet.
He's not going to see a lot. I don't know if he understands the delay. He's just
Do you see
Okay.
anything, Richard?
Well,
Okay, I got it now. I got
Okay,
it.
thank you.
all right. So, Linda, you are certain we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Buddy
Well,
Brown, Rob Merchant, Richard Beasley, and Tom Rhodes. 4 out of 5 people are
Okay.
here. We've got a quorum.
Great. I'm going to trust you on this one. Well, I'd like to go to the first item on the agenda, which is adopt the rules and procedures for emergency meetings. And Linda, I wonder if you can provide us briefly what that is.
Yes.
I understand this is necessary for this board.
Yes. Last night, council met in an emergency meeting and adopted the resolution that they need to conduct business virtually the way they did last evening and the way we are this afternoon. Our legal advice was that this order could extend to the boards and commissions of the town. And that was the desire of council last evening, to extend this opportunity to the boards and the commissions of the town. It was also under legal advice that we were advised that each board and commission should adopt this document also. So you've all had it in your packets. It is a resolution allowing the type of meeting that we're having, and which allows us to move forward, this board, Design Review Board, to move forward with the business that's on our agenda. I'll be glad to answer any other questions.
Does anyone would like to make a motion?
I make a motion we approve.
Okay, maybe we should announce our names when we do
Buddy
that.
Brown. I make a motion
Okay.
that we approve.
Richard Beasley seconds.
Okay, there's a motion and there's a second. Any further discussion on the rules and procedures?
Roll call.
Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Buddy Brown.
And why don't we just vote by our name and vote?
We have an affirmative vote from Buddy Brown.
Tom Riggs, aye. Richard Beasley, aye.
Rob Merchant, aye. Okay, motion carries unanimously. Next item of business is approval of the minutes of the February 6th Design Review Board. Entertain a motion for that.
It's Buddy Brown. I make a motion. We approve the minutes from our last meeting. Was it February 6th? Yeah.
Richard Beasley, second that motion.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, say your name and indicate your vote, or vote either way, I guess.
Buddy, aye.
Richard Beasley, aye. Tom Riggs, aye.
Rob Merchant, aye. Motion carries. And I apologize, it's a little cumbersome, but since I can't see all of you, and I'm starting to recognize your voices over the phone. I'd like to move on to our first...
Rob, somebody needs to mute their phone. There's background noise going on.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody has a TV on in the background, if you know who you are. Just
Kids playing
mute your
or
phone and... Okay. And before we get started, the next item of business is the review of a convenience store and gas station at Paris Island Gateway and Wrights Point Drive. And I wanted to mention the procedure we're going to follow, since it's a little bit of a different, since we're scattered around. But what we will do is I will first ask staff to give a background for the project. And then our board, if they have any questions for staff, we will ask them. We will go on to the applicant. They will present, and then our board, if they have questions for the applicant. And then we will move on to the public. And if you are watching the meeting on Facebook or on this conference call, you have two ways to provide input. And I would recommend, if you are on Facebook, you have, during this whole time until we get to the public comment period, to put your comment on Facebook, and then when we get to public comment, we will make sure that all of those are read, and then we will give everyone who is on the conference call an opportunity to state your name and make your comments. We would ask that before then, keep your phone muted, and when you get to the point where, if it's the applicant presenting, they could unmute their phones and present. When it's the public, they could unmute their phones and present. So it's a little cumbersome, but hopefully we'll get through this and we'll be able to address all of the concerns of the board, of the applicant, and especially the public. With that, Linda, did you want to give the background, the staff
Yes.
report for this project?
Yes, thank you. So this is a convenience store and fuel canopy that's going to be located at the corner of Paris Island Gateway and Wrights Point Drive. The zoning for that property is T4 Neighborhood Center Open. T4 Neighborhood Center Open does allow uses like this, gas stations, convenience stores, etc. Sites about 1.5 acres. To give you a background of how this project has been in front of us, it's been in front of us three different times now. This is the fourth. The last time that the project was in front of us, in front of the board, no motion was made and no vote was taken. There was a request of the applicant to work with a couple of folks in the neighborhood, Wrights Point neighborhood, and the applicants agreed to do that. And then further to work with the town's architect, Bill Harris, on refining the feedback that they got. My understanding is all of that has happened, and we have a presentation, a project that's been submitted to us. In addition, I would mention for the public, hopefully you saw at our website or were received through an email from me personally, the package that we're looking at here this evening. So that's all I have as background, Mr. Chairman. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, and I'd like to ask Bill Harris to provide his comments.
We, as Linda said, we did have, we had some input after the last meeting, a quick conversation, which led to a meeting that took place at my office with one Circle K representative that's on the line, and also I think two Wrights Point neighbors that came kind of to represent, maybe not represent everybody, but to have their interest in mind, and worked through some of the issues and talked about what would be added, what wouldn't be added, what would be revised, what was it that they'd like to see. And then a couple of weeks went by, and this package was resubmitted, and they really came through and did, in my opinion, they did 100% of what they were kind of asked. Even beyond that, they went a little more towards what the public has been asking for, in that we now have a roof, and we now have that roof form. And they also, I urged them that it's not always very easy for folks to understand elevation drawings, and they don't get people very excited. But if they had some 3D stuff, that would also help people understand the scale and kind of what it is and how that building works. And so they actually have some of that submitted as well. So I feel like after 4 public meetings, or however many there's been, and that private meeting, I was happily surprised to see what they resubmitted, and I think they're doing everything that they can to make everybody happy.
Can I have one comment? May I have one comment, Chairman?
Yes.
This is Jerry Ashmore. In addition to the meetings that they've had, that we've had here, and then the other meetings one-on-one with the residents, I actually worked with them also. They reached out to me as far as the landscape plans go, and we went back and forth on a few emails, and we were able to come to what I feel is a really good landscape using a lot of indigenous and native species. I think they've done a real good job there, and they've listened to plant suggestions, and I'm real happy with the landscape that they put together for this project.
Okay. Do any of the board members have questions for staff?
This is Richard Beasley. My procedural question here right now, is this package that we're seeing online, or the public is seeing online, the same one that we received 2 to 3 weeks ago, hard copies of? Have there been any changes since then? I have not gone in to try to audit that.
As staff, no. I'm not aware of any changes that have happened between the what was going to be the paper submission for the March 17th meeting, DRB meeting that had to be canceled. Perhaps the applicant, you might want to chime in on that.
Hey everyone, it's Matt Cotton. We have not changed this. The project is still the same. Bill Harris made a few comments to us after our submission on a few minor tweaks to make just to the architecture of the building. So our architect was able to make those, but from what you're looking at on the paper, it's, as I've been told, they're so minor that you'll only really notice them if you're an architect or seeing the building in person. So, I mean, the building we're looking at right now is ultimately the building that is submitted and we're going with, or is the building we're going with. And I think Bill or Chad, you may be able to hit on some of those changes that were made.
The one that sticks out to me that I remembered was instead of doing the box soffit returns, having some small, more traditional returns at the gable. That's right, kind of the one that has a Circle K red sign on it. I think that was really. I don't remember much else. That was that's the only thing that really stuck out at me. And that's something we can definitely hone in on as you submit. For with your details.
Bill, this is Tom Ray. You said that the bird box returns have been eliminated and it's a more traditional. Is it an exposed type rafter, or it's just a more traditional?
No, I think we were just looking for more of a return, so it would kind of wrap around and you'd see a little bit of roof, and you wouldn't get necessarily that kind of trapezoid shape there.
Pork chop.
Yeah. But
Okay.
If I said pork chop, everybody would look at
the pork chop.
Yes. So we're just trying to avoid those.
I understand.
No, it would still be a closed. I think they still mean they want a closed soffit. I just didn't want to see those shapes there. That's all.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other questions for staff from the board members? Well, hearing none, I'd like to open it up to the applicant. I don't know if there's anything else additional that you would like to present.
I can just hit on how we appreciate y'all working with us to reschedule this under the circumstances, and hopefully everybody's staying safe and healthy out there. I know there have been concerns brought up on, and I'll just touch on this from a Circle K standpoint, operational. There have been questions on whether or not stores would be closing and stuff. No, we're still moving on as scheduled for this project. This is one of our higher priority projects, so we're still working forward upon hopefully some sort of approval tonight. We would go through with permitting and building the store as scheduled. So this virus and kind of economic uncertainty hasn't challenged this project at all. It slowed it down a little bit, but I just wanted to kind of touch on that because there may be a lot of questions regarding that. But off the top, I mean, we've changed this building. I think this is the fifth rendition, and personally, I think it looks pretty good. I think it's a good looking low country building. We were able to get putting a roof on the building approved. So I know that was one of the main concerns with the residents, and kind of getting this more of a residential looking building. So we were able to do that on our end, and I mean, I think it looks really good. I do agree with y'all for and kind of commend y'all for pushing that. It does look really good. The white building has more of a low country look, and the renderings, I think the renderings show pretty well. They may, depending on your computer, look a little grainy, but I don't think the materials are reflected super well on there, but it's going to be that hardy plank look. It's not brick. So it's going to be a wood-looking building with a metal roof. I think Bill made one comment, maybe to darken the roof a hair, which we can get with him on, just getting that color right. But overall, I think the building looks good. It's not going to be cause any eyesores, in my opinion. It's, I think, going to blend in well with the local community, and I hope you guys like what we came up with, and with the help of Andre DeBruin and Dave Strange, we were able to kind of knock out a lot of these details. So I really appreciate them working with us on that as well. So overall, it was kind of a team effort. But I'm willing to answer any questions anybody has as well.
Okay, well, thank you. Do any board members have questions for the applicant?
Rob, this is Tom Rhodes again. I did just have a comment moving forward, which I know that these will be developed in the next submittal that they create. And this is a preliminary submittal, is that correct?
It's my understanding that this would be final. I could double check with staff.
This should be the.
Rob, we agree.
It is for final.
This is final for the board. Of course, this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Generally, Tom, what happens next is that upon the pleasure of the board, it is still refined and details are addressed by the town architect.
Okay. The one comment I just wanted to make, I'm assuming these are fake or false windows with that are on the wings of the building. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, that is correct. And those, let's see, the doors on that where it says left side elevation, those windows and that door will be see-through, as that's a hallway that connects to the bathrooms and the seating area. And then the top, when you look at the plans, the top building where it says rear elevation facing site interior, those windows will be see-through, as those are looking into the main kind of forecourt of the inside of our store.
Just one comment I'd like to make, I guess, is that those windows, the false windows, receive a casing so that they kind of sit back in the hardy plank siding as opposed to just being applied on top, because that's a look that just really and it's annoying to a lot of people when it just looks applied as opposed to actually kind of set back into the wall a little bit, or set back into the siding at the very least. And the other question I had is, what are you doing with the HVAC equipment?
So if you scroll down, however you're looking at the plans and look at the renderings, all that HVAC equipment will be going. It's the rendering on the bottom right of the paper, where there's if you look in, there's kind of a gated area, and a fenced off area. That's where the HVAC equipment is going to be going. And that can also be spruced up with a little extra landscaping that'll screen that. We just wanted to show on these renderings, we didn't want to hide it as far as this meeting went, so you guys can see where it's going.
Okay. All right, thanks.
All right, any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, this is Richard.
Okay.
Hello. Okay.
Yes.
Am I acknowledged? I just wanted to
Yes,
make sure
you're
I'm not
acknowledged.
I just following up on Tom's comment. I heard discussion on the windows on the rear elevation, the left side. What about on the front elevation facing Paris Island Gateway? Tom, did you mean to address that too, as far as the case of, and making sure we don't have something look like another recent project with black windows that is kind of difficult to look at?
I'm sorry, you're asking me?
Yeah. I'm not sure if it was addressed on page A5, the front elevation. Those, I understand, are all false windows. Is that correct?
On the two wings of the
I
building.
guess I'm asking the applicant that. And then
Yes, that is correct. Those windows will be looking, or if they were clear, they'd be looking into our coolers.
Right, I understand that. I understand the logistics of that. Yeah, and my concern is the same, that whatever treatment is on those windows, they still, look like windows and not like black squares that are obviously not windows. There are different things that could be done that I've seen elsewhere that are more pleasant to look at than just the black squares. So, I'd appreciate if that could be addressed with staff, of course.
Yes, we can be sure to work with Bill Harris on that, and making sure those aren't just a jet black that are obviously tinted over.
Right. Two other, I think the only two other points I have are on, once again, at page A5, item 2 of the general exterior notes, regarding general contractor to verify all exterior colors. I would certainly like staff to make sure that the colors selected are appropriate for that area in the style. Not a fuchsia or a deep purple or whatever. So I'd like to have a little review on that if we could. And along that line, on A6, I realize it's hardy plank for cement to siding, but the renderings on page A6 appear to have not a traditional slatted or horizontal hardy plank, but it looks textured or almost like brick. Is there some different kind of hardy plank that's going to be used there, or is it just going to be regular 6-inch flat siding?
Chad, would you mind speaking on that comment?
Sure. This is Chad K. Do you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. No, that is just part of the rendering style. The hardy plank there would be a traditional, I don't know what the exposure would be. 6 inches would probably be appropriate. The only, I don't know if it would be the flat type or perhaps the cedar texture, but it wouldn't look like brick. It wouldn't look like cedar shapes or anything like that. It would be the horizontal traditional lap siding.
Yeah, we would definitely ask that it be the smooth, not the wood grain. Just the scale of the building,
Okay.
You'll see that same wood grain over and over again. It'll drive people crazy. So definitely the smooth and colors and the false window details. And we talked about those are things that yes, I'll pay close attention to, and I can confirm with the group that those have been agreed to and handled.
Appreciate that, Bill.
Yeah.
The last note I have is something I brought up back in the first go-round of this is we could look at it on page L1.1 on the landscaping. We've got what are labeled as 2 alleys going around the lot. But I would venture to say that with a traffic light on Wrights Point Lane and Paris Island Gateway, that alleyway is going to become a very active cut-through to avoid the traffic light, especially after the 300 some odd apartments get built down in that area too. I would once again I would challenge or hopefully get the applicant to include a sidewalk, much as they have on the eastern side of the building, and extend that sidewalk around the further part of the east and the northern side of the building. Otherwise, you could have some pedestrian injuries there. So I'd like that to be considered. Does everybody see what I'm talking about?
You're
I know it's
talking
hard.
about
Yes.
I guess it would be looking at the plan, the northeast corner of the site where it fronts, where the alley makes a 90-degree turn. You would like the sidewalk to wrap around?
Yes. I think that's, just for safety's sake. I realize, Linda, you could probably verify this. There's nothing in the code that says you have to have a sidewalk and what's designated as an alley. But in practicality, I would venture to say that's going to end up a road for all intent and purposes. And I'd hate to see some issues there.
Yes, I think the plan with that one now, and the reason we're not showing the sidewalk is because it is considered the alley, and the roads Wright Point Lane and Paris Island Gateway per code need sidewalks, and per the code, the alleyways do not. And it's also kind of a way for us to help funnel pedestrians out of those alleyways and to keep them on the sidewalks we're proposing. Because if you look in, the entrance to the building from the sidewalk is a little bit closer to the intersection. And it almost lines up with our outdoor seating area. Otherwise, we're going to have people using those sidewalks and kind of walk all over the site. And like you said, I think we'd want, seeing if that road or alleyway turns into a heavier traffic road, I think keeping people off of it and keeping them on Paris Island Gateway and Wrights Point Lane may alleviate some headaches in the future.
Is there, right now we have a 90-degree bend in the alley. Is there any point in the future where it's going to go straight back or, continue straight back or continue parallel to Paris Island Gateway?
That would be a question for the landowner or future user. I have no insight to that. And as far as I know, there's no other development slotted next to us or behind us at the moment. But I could be speaking out of turn and could be wrong.
No, I think
it is the road. I will say, shooting off the cuff with development we have done, roads we kind of construct them like this to where if a user does go beside us, that road could continue parallel to Paris Island Gateway, or if somebody was to go behind us, the road could continue to go straight back, kind of parallel to Wrights Point Lane. That's how it's designed. Whether that is utilized in the future, I don't know. But it kind of leaves that option there.
Yeah.
And once again, you will not be developing those alleys or own those alleys. That's going to be your property owner that surrounds you. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, we are not in charge of that at all. The excess property. We will. I know there were questions in the past on who's going to maintain these roads, and that's something that we would have to work out with the property owner in future uses. But it would be kind of a combination effort.
Well, I've said what I think. I have always had a problem when you have, whether it's Paris Island Gateway or many other major highways with shopping centers or whatever next to them, and people come off the sidewalk and just get dumped right into an active parking lot with no sidewalks going to a grocery store or anything. And that's, to me, that's not good planning. But I've expressed my opinion, so leave it there.
Yeah, I guess this is Rob, the chairman. I I'm a huge advocate for sidewalks, but I feel like the current network that's shown on the plan pretty much connects any possible way that this property may be crossed by a pedestrian. The only thing I could see in the future is if there's a continuation of a grid of streets, and this is one of them, and it goes straight back, and there's another commercial property behind it or one next to it, that, then it might warrant a sidewalk. But it just seems right now it's well connected to any development that might occur toward the Paris Island Bridge, and then it's also connected well, on the other side, and then back into the Wrights Point community. But I guess I feel that it's pretty well connected with the pedestrian, with sidewalks.
That's all I have.
Okay. We would like to open this up to the public, and what I would like to do is, and I don't know how, hopefully that we could do this in an orderly fashion, but I know that there are a number of the people from the public online, and what I was hoping is that if you are interested in commenting, if you can just state your name, and who if you're resident of the community or something like that, and make your comment, and then we'll try to get through everyone who wants to make a comment. And at the end, I will also read some of the comments on Facebook, although I think some of the people who have commented are also on this call. So we'll get through this and make sure that everyone's concerns are addressed. So I guess I'll open it up to the first person who would like to speak from the public.
Rob, this is Dave Strange. I'll be happy to kick things off.
All right.
As mentioned a little bit earlier, it was suggested, and the group of the owner and Bill Harris agreed, and Andre and I participated in the roundtable that we had a couple months back, shortly after the last public meeting. And as Bill said, and I've got the drawing that he marked up and all the comments here, and I've been going through, and as further follow-up conversations have taken place, a couple of which was in the week or week and a half, I guess, following that meeting with Matt. I've checked off everything that we spoke about at the meeting. So just wanted to reiterate what Bill said. I'm very pleased with the response from Circle K. When it became apparent that the rendering that we were looking at the meeting simply had a parapet in front, I requested of Matt if he would go back and consider roofing the entire structure. And frankly, I didn't think I was going to get that. And so when they came back, I was pleasantly surprised with the fact that the entire structure is being roofed, and it's being roofed in a standing seam roof to match both the front and back canopy and the canopies over the gas pump stations. So that to me was one of the single most important aspects of attempting to make this building as low country and as appealing as possible within the context of our community. So I applaud that very much. And I have to say that I don't think that there's much else that possibly could be done for a convenience store to make it look more appropriate than they have done. I guess the only question I would have is just to confirm a couple things that I think I see here in the renderings, Matt, and that would be, it looks like we are going with white on the hardy plank in approximately a 6-inch board. Is that correct?
Yes, yep. What we're showing is what we will plan to go with.
Okay.
We did try out a couple other color options, a lighter tan, a kind of a darker brown, and I did not feel that those showed very well. I think this white shows the best, and based on meetings that we had, I think it's ultimately what people were looking for. I think that's the best way I can answer that.
That's a good answer. I agree. You know from the meeting we had at Bill's office that I felt that way from the beginning. And I guess the other color questions I had was, it's hard for me to tell. I'm not on the Facebook, so I don't have the entire, I've got a couple of the renderings here. It appears to me that you are going with a gray roof, but I think I've heard you say that it likely will come out a little bit darker gray than this, than what I'm seeing in the rendering. And
potentially, I know I have a note here from Bill in just in an email, just saying the roof color of gray could be a bit darker than the gray trim, just to kind of provide a little contrast. But that's something that we can work out with him. And then I don't know if you were going to get to this question, but the shutters, are
my next question.
kind of they're forest green. They're not black, or they're the forest or that Charleston green, however you want to describe it, just to give a little bit more contrast. So it's not like a total black and white building. It's getting a little bit of green in there to keep it kind of that low country Charleston feel.
That's great.
Works for me. Yeah, we talked about that at the meeting as well. So I just wanted to say in conclusion, I was obviously very skeptical of the brick building and some of the elements of what we presented in the past. And as far as what you've done, Matt, I commend you. And I don't have any objections to what you've proposed. I think you've done a nice job of responding to us.
All right, thank you, David. Any other comments from the public?
This is Rebecca Bass. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'd like to second David's comments. We've really come a long way, baby, as they say, and shows what you can do when there's collaboration between the public and the applicant. Just one question, Matt, and Jerry Ashmore also, I guess, with regard to the landscaping. I've reviewed the plans in detail. Just want to know that they're going to be mature landscaping installed so that we really do have a buffer and something that makes it look a lot more attractive and not just, puny plants that'll wait until we're all long gone from here before they really provide any insulation.
This is Jerry Ashmore. I'm happy to take that on. I think it's an appropriate landscape. I don't think you want a mature landscape because your success rate is not going to be as great. You're going to see a lot of failure. I think that the sizes here meet the industry standard. I mean, you got 2-inch B&B, you got 15-gallon plants. Those are good sized plants. They're not fully grown, and you don't want them fully grown because your establishment is not going to be as great. But I'm very happy with the selection of the plants and the size of the plants. I think they've done a real good job there.
Thanks, Jerry.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, thank you, Rebecca. Any other comments from the public?
I'm seeing one question on the Facebook page saying, asking about the turn lanes out of Wrights Point Lane. I know that's been brought up in prior meetings. So they're asking, will there be a left turn lane as well as a straight and right? So I think that's getting to, will there be 3 lanes exiting Wrights Point Lane? No, there will just be 2. There will be the left lane and then the straight right lane. That is something that was not part of our project. That was part of the apartment project before us. So we did not have any input on those turn lanes going out. We were able to make comments after the fact, be it that the median that you can see that's kind of shaded in on that plan. So we have no say in that Wrights Point Lane intersection. I believe that was all the apartments, and they worked with the South Carolina Department of Transportation on that.
This is Richard. I guess I have a question for staff. If the apartments don't come to fruition, are the residents of Wright Point stuck with one lane, or where do we go from there?
It's an interesting question, Richard, and I've never had the situation, so I'm here in 30 seconds trying to think of an answer for you. I think the first thing that I would say is that if the convenience store, whenever they apply to us, the next thing, let's assume they're going to come out of this meeting with an approval. The next thing that they will do is to apply to us for a site development permit. Part of that site development permit is going to be an encroachment permit from SCDOT. So I'm going to lean heavily onto SCDOT for that answer. What they will accept is kind of what we have to accept. So that's where that is going to go. It's their street, it's their road. Wrights Point is a private road, and so we will not move forward with a site development permit until we are satisfied that DOT is satisfied.
Thank you, I think.
Linda, this is Dave. I'd like to chime in again. As you know, from the very beginning of this, I have had a concern over the work that needs to be done to Wrights Point Lane. And it began with the very first time that we had a meeting presenting the apartment building complex. And we all in the neighborhood feel very, very strongly that the road needs to be improved regardless of whether the apartment complex goes forward or not. And by that, I mean that all the way back to the alley that surrounds the property up to the north side, at least until that point, the road needs to be improved. And the staging lanes for both the left and the right-hand turns need to be sufficiently deep so as to handle the amount of traffic that we saw, the tremendous amount of traffic that is going to flow through this gas station area. I'm concerned that we still haven't shown a depth of lanes there that goes far enough back into the property so that there isn't going to be a backup of traffic, particularly backing up people that simply want to go out to the right. So I think that really needs to be examined more thoroughly. And I hear you about the fact that DOT has responsibility for Paris Island Gateway, but I think it should be contingent upon one of these two developers to provide the depth of the improvement to Wrights Point Lane that's sufficient that it's not going to be continually jamming all of us up who occasionally come out a couple times a day from our neighborhood.
David, I've made notes to that effect. I understand the concern.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
All right. Any other comments from the public? Well, hearing none, I will give this back to the board. And I guess the final discussion before somebody wants to put together a motion. Does anyone want to put together a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the proposal as we were shown today.
Okay.
Richard Beasley, I second.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, I'd like to call the question. All those in favor, state your name and indicate your vote. Or, I mean, all those indicate your vote either favor or against, and say your name.
Yeah. Buddy, in favor.
Richard Beasley.
Tom.
In favor.
Tom Rhodes, in favor.
And Robert
Eric
in favor.
Can you hear Eric Erickson? I'm in favor.
Oh, okay. All right, so we have a unanimous vote. Motion carries.
This is Richard
All right,
Beasley.
I'd just
Mayor.
like to say, thank you to the applicant and for the staff and the residents of Wrights Point who helped. I mean, I think we have a really good project, and thank you for everyone's patience.
Mr. Beasley,
Thank you all very much for working with us. This was a fun project to put together, and I'm excited to see how it goes forward. And I'm glad we're able to hopefully satisfy everybody's concerns. I know we may not get to all of them, but I think we've done a very good job of addressing the majority of them, and I really appreciate everybody working with us on this one.
When can we expect
And
you to move
hopefully
some dirt
everybody
out
stays
there?
safe and healthy.
All right.
When can we expect you to move some dirt out there, Rob?
Oh, let's see. That takes into account permitting timeline. So roughly, with everything going on, permitting has been slowed down with just local government agencies kind of everybody working from home. We've seen a couple weeks slow down on getting things back. So I would assume it'll be a 3.5 to 4 month permitting process, and then once that gets through, once we have all permits, we close on the land and then start construction. And then the construction is roughly 5 to 6 months. Knowing that this is coastal South Carolina, there will be rain. That'll have an impact, but roughly 6 months.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, I'd like to move forward to item number D on the agenda, or letter D, review Bluff Neighborhood, Port Royal Redevelopment Plan Unit Development, Magnolia Line between 13th and Ritter Circle. Staff, would you be able to provide us, or Linda, with some background on this project?
Yes, very glad. So this is a project, residential project. As you've stated, Rob, location runs from 13th Street to about Ritter Circle in the Port Redevelopment PUD. So the zoning document that regulates the development in this area is the planned unit development for the Port of Port Royal tract. The PUD refers development standards that are presented to the town's traditional town overlay district, Chapter 15.5, Article 2 of the Port Royal Code of Ordinances, and that would have been Supplement 11. So the above reference code, that one that I just stated, states that garage doors shall be positioned no closer than 20 feet from the principal plane of the front building, behind the principal plane of the front building. Where space permits, garage doors can face the side or the rear, but not the front. This has presented, well, let me tell you read the analysis. The applicant requests that the board approve a code modulation of that code language. Historically, that code that we just talked about provided no protocol for waterfront development in the downtown area. That was its geographic coverage. The master plan is and will continue to be reviewed by the Port Redevelopment Design Review staff as prescribed by the PUD, but the PUD directs staff to bring any modulation that is needed to the town's design review board. And that's why we're here today. Basically, in layman's terms, the code did not address the issue of garage doors facing a street. The layout, as it has been accepted by the review team for the project, would have garage doors facing the street. And so this was an impasse between what the developer had presented to us and the reviewers were able to, as I say, accept. So we're here looking for a modulation of the code to allow what is being requested. I think that explains it, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Well, this is Rob Merchant. Is this interpretation or waiver being asked for lots 1 through 19?
Rob, at this point, I think it would be helpful if no one has any questions specifically of me. I would say that we could hear from the applicant. They're ready to. Bill Harris is here, ready to do a presentation for you.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. I brought a larger version of the overall plan. So, like Linda said, we've been working on this plan for, it seems like a year now probably. And there's been lots of back and forths with not only the development team, but also the review team. And felt like we had everything kind of neat and orderly. And we've been working with our civil engineers and getting all of our infrastructure stuff down, and our stormwater things, and all the 1,000 points you have to bring together to create a neighborhood. Most of our lots are alley fed. Very, very few are not. So we're really doing all the things we're supposed to do, and that kind of blend into Port Royal. And we don't, as for the neighborhood part, we want that to kind of feel like just an extension of Port Royal. So all that being said, we're really here for not the overall plan, but that's just a little background. We're here to talk about, yes, 1 through 19. So we had a few different types in previous plans, but in this current latest plan we kind of implemented all the review changes that have come along. And we do have only 2 types now that are along the waterfront. And you can see on the maps you have, nothing's changed, this is just bigger. That we are kind of dedicating public green space all along the water, except for lots 1 through 5, which will have docks, they're dockable, and then a community dock. So we're giving some waterfront away there. We're also then kind of extending at the end of each street that there's some way to get to or appreciate the water, and so we're kind of doing all those things we're supposed to. The one thing that we're here to ask for is that they're edge condition lots, right? You're on the marsh. Not many folks are going to want to plunk down the money it takes to live on the water there, especially the deep water lots, and have a garage behind their house blocking their view. So if you look at a couple of the other elements that were in the package, there are these, which these are just lot diagrams, and they describe kind of what we're saying would happen up front. So on lots 1 through 5, we're kind of getting a setup, which is not very different actually from 6 through 18, just a little smaller. We're getting kind of a garage that turns its garage doors to the side, and so the doors aren't facing the street. We're creating in our guidelines, we'll talk about having to have a fence or a hedged area. We're kind of creating this motor court in front of the house in the garage there. Much like you see development, Wrights Point, for instance, in the rear part there. Much the same kind of pattern you see there. So we're doing almost everything we can, except for putting the garage either under, which I think is more disruptive, or behind the house, which is something that's just not wanted by anyone on the development team or even potential marketing people. So the idea was we don't think we're doing anything wrong. We kind of feel like it was something just not allowed for in the code at the time. So Linda says, well, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but this was the place to present that, to see if we can modulate that, to say maybe if our garage doors aren't facing the street. I'm not sure what the verbiage would be to let us do this, but that's the big idea, is can we do something more like this on our edge lots? All other lots still accessing from alleys and from the rear and not seeing garage doors or garages really. And that's what we're here for.
Okay. I don't seem to have those drawings in my packet.
Okay.
Were they added later?
No, if they're not in, I thought they were included.
Yeah, I don't have them in mind.
Okay, so I'm just lying then. They're in.
I don't know if there's a way to present them so that.
Yeah, we can
Put
get
them
them
close to the
in.
camera?
Let's get them in the camera line. I think that there's
This is Smith. They were in the video presentation that I put together.
That's true. They're in the video.
Yeah, they're not in the.
Okay.
They're not in the file like it was
So
on.
part of the planning process for us, as you're seeing those, part of the planning process that we do is that instead of just drawing lots that we feel like, sure, that's a great lot shape, is that we'll proof them, right? We'll actually take houses that we know are the type and the feel and the mass we want and the type of house that we want, and we'll get them on the lots, see how they fit. We're going to show everyone who buys one of these lots. If I'm a client who comes along and says, I really got to have lot 3, it's my dream lot, I want to quickly be able to show them, well, this is what's expected if you're buying lot 3. And we've done that for all the lots throughout, and they'll be in our overall package. But for now, we just ran into this hiccup with the lots on the water, so I brought those.
Bill, Richard here.
Yep.
Yeah, the lot diagrams that are in front of the camera now, is that the elevation that's being shown?
Yes.
The water side or the street side?
No, that's the water side. So the one with the
Okay.
larger looking house, which has a larger motor court, where the lots 1 through 5. The one with the smaller motor court, the smaller homes, still large houses, were 6 through 18 or 19.
But those are the water sides,
Yes.
the elevations to the side. Oh, great, thank you.
So it's my understanding that both lot configurations on the large lots and small lots will have a side-facing driveway.
They'll have a driveway from the front, which will turn into a
Or
garage.
I mean a side-facing garage is what I meant.
Yes. Yes, and that can be a garage or a garage with space above. And in our regulating document, that those 2 sheets for those lots, we actually talk about them having a little bit of a face, and it's more important that they do. By face, I mean windows and doors that make sense and have their own little character. That plus the idea of having either fence or courtyard or wall that kind of creates that motor court. Those would all be things that'll be regulated as well. So really, the edge of the street, the edge of the boulevard there, you would have a nice formal edge. You'd have your right of way, and then you'd have landscape or wall or hedge, garage, the edge of the front edge of the garage, and the house will be beyond that, and you'd get that contained kind of courtyard area.
Does any other board members have questions for the applicant or for staff?
Hi, Bill. This is Tom Rhodes.
Hey.
I guess I'm more curious in what you come up with as far as the landscaping or wall or fence. I'm a little hesitant when I hear wall, just because of what size that may be and how it reacts kind of to the pedestrian scale of the sidewalk.
Sure, we call out.
So it seems like there should be some sort of transparency or that it's a green wall.
We have a height called out for those walls. I think we said 36 inches, or maybe 42 inches. So we want it to be a barrier for people, possibly. But we don't want it to be necessarily a huge visual barrier. We don't want no one to be able to see past that edge. We just want to create that edge. So I think you could have something as short as 24 inches and be boxwoods in front of it, and possibly maybe a small living fence. I think I know people will push the envelope and go as high as they can, maybe to 42 inches. But those kind of things are called out. Those kind of things aren't called out. We're not necessarily planning every lot. It's not as if we're saying this house goes on this lot and here's the landscape plan for it. We're trying to set up a framework so that when someone does purchase a lot or lots and they want to develop them, that they know exactly what's expected of them, and then we have something to review and hold them to when they do come in with whatever their design is.
Okay, thanks.
This is Richard.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I guess this is more for staff. If we manage those expectations that Bill's talking about right now, 24, 36, 42 inch wall, courtyard, who is the developer going to manage those expectations with a customer, or will the town be getting involved in the approval of every house, every lot throughout the development?
Yeah, Richard, each home that is built is going to have to be permitted. So yes, staff will see each and every one of them to get, in the review that they need to have for a building permit. And that would include the grounds. That doesn't just include the structure itself. Whenever we look at a permit package, if there's a garage, that'll be reviewed at the same time. Anything, it should be reviewed all at one time for each one of the lots. The question I would have, Bill, is there any chance that the facility might be built by the developer in advance of the building permits? Or do you see it coming in, like as we're kind of assuming each customer, whenever they make their decision, is going to bring?
I think whether it's builders maybe buying a strip of lots or a block of lots, I don't know if that's even all known yet. The framework is being put in place for folks to buy lots designed for them, come into the review, and this is the evil, greedy architect saying, in our document that we're putting together, we have forms, much like you would see at our Wrights Point. We have a review process that will be in place, and even before it comes to Port Royal, to make sure that everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, for instance, I know we're only talking about these waterfront lots, and they're all pretty similar in what they are going to kind of demand. The only difference maybe is scale. But for lots that are, say, on Columbia Avenue, we talk in our or whatever street it is, we talk in the guideline, we talk in our regulating plan about these are corner lots and what's supposed to happen on a corner lot. And then we have interior lots. Why are they different? What's supposed to happen on an interior lot? How much porch are you requiring? So we are regulating more than just what houses go where or what types of houses, But we are also talking about, these are the things we kind of expect. When you buy a corner lot, you should expect that you have to do a little more down the side of your house, whether it's wrapping a porch or more formal window placements or a bay or a bump or whatever it is. If you're on one of the lots that are facing the boulevard here, that we have, there's different requirements for those as well. So, yes, there's going to be there's going to be a higher bar. And this sounds maybe a little snooty. There's going to be a higher bar for design at this point before it gets to Port Royal, which would then be looking at things like, are we doing what we said we were, are holding the review to its duties, as well as the developers, right? So it's kind of a double layer of review, and that's saying all that without confirming a lot of it, but that's the idea thus far.
And that's part and parcel for the review process now. In any community that has their own level, their own layer of design standards, staff looks out and understands that those standards have been satisfied, as well as our own standards.
But all that is bigger picture stuff, I suppose. Really, just to hone it down, we're here really just to talk about how these waterfront lots could work or can work, or if they're allowed to work the way we envision them. That's kind of what we're asking for. We're not asking for an overall plan approval or anything.
Yeah. Any more questions from the board for staff or the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, I would
I'd like to open this.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to point out that I delivered to each of your inboxes those drawings. We had them scanned and emailed them out to you. So I think all of you should have those if you want to take a closer, detailed look at them. They're there.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for doing that. Is there anyone from the public who would like to speak on this project? I don't hear anyone on the phone who's interested in speaking, and doesn't seem to be any new comments on Facebook.
This is Whit Suber. I'll just say that I'm available if there's any questions.
Okay. All right.
Rob, can you hear me? It's Eric Erickson.
Yes, I can hear you.
I think the town architect's letter is very good, and I agree with everything that he stated, and I think that you've tried the remedial measures, and there's plenty of precedent. I mean, everything the town architect said, I agree with, so I'm apt to go along with this.
Okay. Yeah, and I would just say, I mean, this is a familiar lot layout for Beaufort. I mean, Sunset Boulevard and Ladies Island and even Remote Road, where you have lots that face the water, this is a very familiar configuration. So I guess we do have a low country precedent for this. Well, does anyone want to put together a motion?
Well, this is Buddy again. I propose that we go along with the request that the developers are asking for. I don't see there's going to be an issue. I think it's well thought out.
I second the motion.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, if not, indicate your vote or your name and then your vote, and then we'll call the question.
Buddy, approve.
Richard Beasley, approve.
Tom Rhodes, approve.
Eric Erickson, approve.
Okay, and Rob Merchant, approve. So the motion carries unanimously. As far as I'm aware, there's no other agenda items. Motion to adjourn.
Go, buddy. I agree.
Okay. That's good enough for me.
Richard second.
Okay. Well, meeting is adjourned.